Bonjour Nifty, bienvenue à Nathalie Nicole. Je m'appelle Nicole, I am Nicole, and we are a crafting community. So grab your work in progress, also known as a whip, and let's get started on our 10-minute crafting break. Today I am working on my niche à chien, my little doghouse from Perler Bead, and I am drinking eggnog latte. I did put a little whip, but it was the end of the container, so it fell pretty quickly. But I have a little, holiday spices on it. Okay, I am doing the base. I should show you. So if you look at the niche à chien, there's a little base of snow. So I'm working on the base of snow right now. And I found in my Perler bead collection at my school site, which I made, by the way, with my own money. Should I get started on how educators have to spend their own money on stuff? Not always, right? There are some things, but kids really think this is cool. And of course I think it's cool too, which is why I am doing it on my own free time. But sometimes what happens is when you get things from school, like the school supplies, they don't let you get the best things. They let you get an economical thing. And while I think there is a place for that, our kids deserve the best as well. It's not like these are something that's, outrageously expensive. But I mean, they're not cheap also. But at the same time, there's something about knowing that you are worth a good product. You yourself, if you can afford it, of course, right? But that our kids are worth an investment. And in my case, I do speech therapy. And so, I mean, I'm sure the kids would be fine if I had not Perler beads. If I had other fusible, I think they're called fuse beads or other fuse beads. But I feel like this brand warps the least. And so when they work hard on their little project, and like I said, they really struggle. A lot of them have fine motor difficulties. So they were super struggling with getting the beads down and everything. And knocking it over, keeping them, being patient enough to not knock over the beads, and not just patient, but to have that skill, right? That they just have the motoric development. And so even though some of them are really small, the one I like the best is the little Christmas present one, I think I told you, and that one's super cute. But it still takes them a good half an hour to make that, what is it? Maybe 25, to put the 25 beads in the pattern on the design. What I love about it though, just, as a therapist type person, is that when they're in it, even though they're focused, they're happy, right? They're happy, and then they want to share things. And so I always hear a lot of things that that they're thinking about, what's going on, if it's just a time for them to connect. And then I also get to hear spontaneous speech samples, which are really valuable because so many times in life, we know the answer. And if we're really focused on giving the correct answer, we can do it. But then if we're not focused on giving the right answer, we show our true selves. And I want that because I want to see if my students are actually incorporating what I'm teaching them into their true selves, or if they're just, kind of performing, right? And so it's really, really valuable at any rate. And we don't do it very often, but this is one of the reasons why I do like to do it. At any rate, so I bought a whole bunch of stuff, and I have a whole bunch of templates, and I have many colors of beads, and I went actually to Michael's to buy more beads, red specifically because the holidays, but they didn't even have any. All they had was like whole kits, and they used to have a whole, well, not Michael's, but Joanne used to have a whole like kind of wall of them, and they would have like bags like 500 of one color, which I like because you know I hate this like mix. At any rate, one of the years, I bought this device for my son, and it is supposed to line the beads up. I somehow line them up, yes, and then, oops, I think I got it stuck. Okay, yes, line the beads up, and then put them down. So I was going to show you. Okay, so it's got a clicking mechanism, and then I should empty it for you to see. Well, inside, they kind of, right here, let me see if you can see. Inside, they kind of line up. So these are aligned, and supposedly they're supposed to fall out. Oh, no, I got a green one. It won't matter because, let me tell you, this is not that great. Okay, so I thought this would be perfect because it's a lot of white. And so I'll show you some. Okay, so this one fell over. That's one. Oh, that one was good. Oh, that was good. Oh, you know what, Nifties? Maybe I just needed to get the hang of it. So I got like 3, but this one is not great. I don't know what's going on with that one. Oh, it's because this one didn't line up right. So this is the thing. You can't, it's hard to get them. Oh, there's the green one that we don't need. Oh, I don't know. I guess maybe if you get into a little rhythm. I'm not sure it's better. Let me keep trying though here. Go cross. Okay, you know what? Maybe I just didn't have the skill. I did try it earlier, and that's why I have all of these random. Let me see if you can see. Maybe I'll go this way. I can't see because, oh, there you can't see. Okay, well, I have these random ones here because I was trying to work it out. Okay, the other thing that you have, oh yeah, see, there's no more here. So then now I have to get some in there. Okay, the other thing is that I couldn't use this mix because it's got all of them. So I actually separated a whole bunch of the white. And then I think you can use this to scoop. Okay, so hypothetically, you're scooping. And then maybe shake it down a little bit to get those lined up. So the first ones, oh no. The first ones that I did, they wouldn't line up. And I feel like I'm having that issue now. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so once those ones that were lined up left, now they're all like mismatched again. See how they're coming out like all random? And I can't make them straight. Okay, Nifties, I'm gonna give up. I'm calling it quits with this thing. Like, you can tell someone thought it out, but I I think they thought it out, but they didn't actually use it and improve it. Oh, look at this. Look at this part right here. This is the part that is supposed to like line it up. It's actually kind of clever. So then they're supposed to fall in through here, and then it has a spinning at the top, and the spinning I think is sorry. The spinning is supposed to make them line up down into the chamber, and then they go through the chamber, and then from the chamber lined up, this blue wheel is supposed to flip them down. It's like it should totally make sense, but it doesn't work. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going with my tweezers. I feel like I'm pretty fast with the tweezers, and so I'm just gonna stay with this method. But it is annoying that it doesn't work, right? Because you want it to work. They just opened a new club. Well, not club, a new fitness location called Club Pilates. And if anyone has ever done that, they use this machine called the reformer machine. I think they've had, I think there's a man named like Jack Pilates. I don't know why this story came to me all of a sudden, but I remember, yeah, I think there's a man named Jack Pilates. I'm gonna shake this thing. And he developed Pilates, and it's supposed to be like a type of calisthenics, which is an exercise that only uses your body weight, so you're not supposed to need anything else. And of course, then they named it after him. When I was young, I was, I don't want to say I was overweight, because I don't think I was, because I mean, I wasn't skinny though. I wasn't skinny, and if you compared those charts, you know, I did seem overweight. But let me tell you, if I was the weight that I was back when they were putting me on diets, I would be just, you know, considered to be like thin and in shape. But we can't go back. But at any rate, so I started doing fitness videos very, very young. And I used to do Jane Fonda videos. And they were fun. You know, they have that, like, you know, the leg warmers and the leotards. And they were fine. But I was so excited when this girl, or this lady, she wasn't a girl. In fact, I'm probably older than she was then. But her name was Mary Windsor. And she had this Pilates video. And I did Pilates back then. And I was really flexible back then. And so I could do all the moves, including, like, there's one that's called the plow, where you like flip your feet up over your head, but not a handstand. Your back is kind of on the ground. Anyway, so I could do the plow, and you know, I feel like I was pretty fit, because let me tell you, I cannot do the plow anymore. Well, I can, but I need it. It's very effortful, whereas back then it was effortless. And so I've loved Pilates since then. And then they used to, when I lived in Northern California, they used to talk about how in Southern California they have these studios where they have this machine, and it has, it's made of wood, and it's got like springs on it, and it's supposed to be just so amazing. And I've always wanted to do it, but it's always been a little bit far for me from my home, so I never did it. But the new studio opened up, and it's 4 miles, like 3.5 miles from my house, but it takes like 20 minutes to get there, but that's okay. It is the closest one to my house, and I went for a free class yesterday. And if you've seen some videos, they do like the Pilates moves, but it's a lot about your core, you know, like having core strength. And so you see these videos where people are using the machines and they're like, it's called a downward facing dog in yoga. And they're doing like downward facing dog, which is like kind of like if your feet and your hands touch the ground, your palms are on the ground, and then you're like in an upside down V shape. That's the best way I can explain it for people who are not into yoga. And so I thought we were going to be doing downward facing dogs on the machine, and I was almost certain. And the machine has a panel that moves, which I loved. That was my favorite part. And you like lie on the back, and then you like kick against the bar, and so you're like vroom, vroom, vroom. I really like that anyway. But I was certain we were gonna flip over, and I was not gonna be on my back, and we were gonna have the bar underneath us, and I was gonna fall on my face. I was really, really certain that that was gonna happen. And in addition, I have already fallen on my face in that same type of position, because there used to be a fitness thing where you would like, there's a wheel and then a handle, and then you would like be on your knees, and then you would roll it out, like, and then you try to hold it in, like for your core to be strong. So, and I've totally fallen on that one. So I was prepared to fall, just so you know. But I was just thinking, like, I don't want my fear to hold me back. My fear of looking ridiculous to hold me back. So I went and I had a great time. It was just a 30-minute class instead of a 50-minute class because it was free, and they're just opening up. But I had a really, really good time. But it was hard. But in a good way, But I'm sore in places that I didn't even know I had muscles. So I guess that's like super exciting. And then they want you to sign up for like a membership. It's like a 3-month-long membership, and you can go like once a week with your membership, or you can pay for the twice a week or 3 times a week, and then there's like an unlimited pass week or something like that. But it's kind of, I don't know, it was a little bit expensive. So sometimes they talk about like, oh, you know, money can't buy you love, or money can't buy you happiness. Well, money can't buy you love, that's for sure, but money can't buy you happiness. And while I agree that that's true, it's like, wouldn't we all be happy though if we could be like fit on those like fancy machines that you can like kick against the bar, and like you just like slide and it brings you back, and then you slide. I feel like we would all be happier if we had, you know, a reformer machine. But I mean, those machines are super expensive, first of all. But second of all, like even the classes I feel like are, you know, maybe outside of my budget in a prohibitive way. Especially because I just moved and everything. So I don't know. And then, you know, it's like same for like fitness coaches and like trainers. Like all of those things are expensive. And not that they aren't worth it, because I feel like, you know, being able to afford a trainer is very helpful. And we see how like movie stars, they have trainers and they're in great shape, and probably because they have a trainer. And then also probably because they can like eat nutritiously and have people prepare, you know, homemade food, and I don't know. Anyway, I did have a good time, and I'm glad that I went. We're closing out the end of the year, and it's a time when we want to reflect, I think, on what we've accomplished. I particularly like to reflect on what I've accomplished, and then go from there to make my goals for the new year, my New Year's resolutions. I don't really, yeah, I do have resolutions, but it's not like a certain, it's more like a lifestyle change than like a specific goal. So one of the things that I have on my New Year's resolution is to be more healthy, right? Just to try to move every day. And so for instance, this Pilates class is my first step in, kind of pushing myself outside of my comfort zone, doing something where I was definitely planning to fail, but going anyway and showing up for myself. And I did not fail. A teacher at the end, she told me I did a good job, which I thought was, generous because, I did struggle a little bit. Okay, but let me tell you, remember when I went surfing? I went surfing on in Hawaii. I took my first surf lessons at 49, and that I did stand up, which is they say is good, but I feel like I really failed in a huge way for surfing lessons. But I'm still glad I went. I'm still glad I went and failed. And so today's fail, or it was yesterday that I went to the class. I feel like it was a really minor fail. I think the hardest part was the core exercises, and that's because, I've had a kid and I'm older, and I, don't do ab exercises like I used to. But I did finish them, and I didn't have to give up. So I feel like, okay, I did an okay job. But I think, of course, she said I did a very good job, but because, they want you to sign up for a membership. At any rate, Nifties, I know our time is up for today. I forgot to set a timer. But I do appreciate you listening today and logging in, and maybe if you could just tell me about a time that you failed, but that you're grateful for, right? And I would love to hear that, because we want to reflect reflect on the past for our future. And so that would just help me just to know that you're there and that I'm not in this alone. Thank you so much, and we will see you tomorrow. Like, share, do all of the things, but definitely tell me, comment below and tell me, a time that you failed but that you're proud of yourself for. I will see you tomorrow. A bientôt.